back into food and nutrition, the energy of food. And I know you do a lot of raw food work, and that's a fascination to me. I'm interested in the bright colours. And so let's talk a little bit more about the energy of food.
Well, of course, all food has a life force, and as soon as it is actually picked and made into something else, then the life force changes. Now, if we think about genetically modified foods, what sort of life force has that food got?
Frightening.
Yeah, and what we eat doesn't just affect how we are. It's not just what we eat, it's what we assimilate, and charming as it sounds, but what we excrete.
Yes.
So it's what you take into your body, what your body can effectively use, so how well your digestive system is functioning, and then what waste products you can eliminate.
Yes, so we've got to get the body tuned up first, really.
Absolutely.
So is that a major part of when you see people for the first time?
Yeah, when people come to me for a consultation, they're with me for an hour and a half.
What are they usually coming in with? Something wrong, or?
Yeah, generally, I think probably you find maybe with the people that you see too, oftentimes they've been down the medical route, and they've been told that there is nothing that can be found to be wrong with them, but they know they're still not very well.
They don't feel right.
They don't feel right, and that's where nutrition, naturopathy, all those sorts of things can be very useful. Some people do actually, they might come in with quite severe bowel problems. That's very common.
Yeah.
Whatever people come with, generally, their energy is down as well.
Yes.
So we're looking at lots of things rather than just the one thing that someone is presenting.
Yes.
So we're looking at it on all sorts of levels. Now, if there's a lot of emotion and stress in the body, we hold that in our solar plexus. So we're holding that in our digestive system.
So how would you help them with that?
So with that,
first?
Again, we work very much with the individual, what their take is on things. So I may not go in on the spiritual level first of all. It might be that we go in on a very strict dietary level. With allergies and intolerances, a lot of people have problems with foods. And allergies and intolerances are a bit of a buzzword, but sometimes it's not that people have actually got an allergy. What they have is a very congested body. Now, if we think of the general daily diet, what somebody would eat in a normal day, they may have toast for breakfast or a wheat-based cereal. They may have a biscuit mid-morning, a sandwich for lunch, a piece of cake in the afternoon.
Sounds very dense.
Yes, pasta and pastry for evening meal. Now, if you think about it, every couple of hours there is wheat going into the diet. Now, oftentimes that wheat as well is very white and refined, so the fiber's long gone, so it just sticks. It's a bit like pouring wallpaper paste down a hose pipe. Exactly. Yes. So it's any wonder that people feel tired, lacking in energy, they're bloated, they're not going to the toilet properly, they might have skin problems, they might have headaches. So taking wheat out of the diet for an amount of time or indefinitely, depending on the person, can be of great benefit.
Yes.
Or just, changing to other grains. Things like quinoa, hugely beneficial to add into the diet. South American grain, very high in protein, really good to have that in. The other allergy and intolerance that I see a lot of course, is a problem with dairy.
Yes.
Very, very common because it's very mucus forming in the body. Very many people have constantly got a runny nose, constantly got blocked sinuses. Maybe, can't go out the door in the morning without going to the bathroom 2 or 3 times.
That's worrying.
So taking dairy out
I'm
of the
also
diet.
worried about what's gone into the cattle as well.
Absolutely.
The injecting and the antibiotics, that's really worries me a lot.
It is, yeah.
And I'm sure it's not right.
And I think that has made us more intolerant over the years, is how food has changed.
It's not pure anymore,
It
is it?
isn't pure.
It's been contaminated.
And if we're talking about this life force of food, we can all taste the difference anyway. If you go into your garden and you dig up your potatoes and then you cook them, the taste is so different.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It is.
What about the effect of pesticides and how that things are irradiated and I want to understand a bit more about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know more than I do, Claire.
Well, what studies have been done with Kirlian photography on how irradiated food actually looks very different than live food. Now, I like to look at it as well from the fact of water in the food, and there's an interesting guy called Matsui Emoto who has done work with water molecules, as I'm sure you know, and showing how water molecules change with the use of sound, for example. Now, I think that food is exactly the same as that. Everything contains water, so we want things to be as pure as possible. And, you know, people could think that you're completely nuts talking to your plants, but who cares? I think
a very well-known person does that.
And that actually can make, you know, plants more healthy. And really, you know, we want to live within nature, because if we're living against nature, that's going to have this massive, massive effect on our body. We're meant to live within the whole world, the whole environment of the world should all be in sync. You know, I say, oh, I've been a vegetarian all my life. I'd like to add that I don't think everybody should be a vegetarian, because I think personal choice is very, very important. And I'm a vegetarian because I'm just such a softie over animals, basically.
But I think, you know, if we look at meat eating, it's okay if it's done naturally. I mean, it's good stuff for organic farmers.
Food, yes,
you know, I'd really admire them. Home-reared, uncontaminated food is what we want, isn't it? That's all we ask for.
Absolutely.
And we need a drive towards that, hopefully, to help people become more...
Yeah, and I think with vegetarians, the key thing, and what I often see, is people would decide to be vegetarian for ethical reasons, great, but they might then not look into the foods that they really need. So then they might just be living on
that balance.
Cheese sandwiches and cheese jacket potatoes. So they're not getting enough protein.
So you've got to get this protein balance.
Absolutely, which is where, again, quinoa comes in, because it contains all 8 essential amino acids, so it rivals meat. Pulses, brown rice, you know, things like short grain brown rice, for example, very alkalising for the body. We tend to have very acidic bodies, which will set up inflammation, and we see so many inflammatory responses within the body that can be changed so much through diet.
Yes. So optimum, just the average man in the street, what are we looking to be healthy, either if he's having meat, maybe organic? What are we looking through? You come through breakfast time and lunchtime. What's the 5 a day thing? Is that right?
Well, I think 5 a day is the minimum. It should be a lot more than that.
Okay.
I would say one of the best things people can do is get themselves a juicer and start the day with a juice. You know, if you don't like the green stuff because it is a bit bitter, have apple and carrot. A really good start to the day. And then something like a porridge. Nuts and seeds are very good to pick on, and fresh fruit, things like bananas, providing you haven't got a problem digesting bananas. Always having some protein at lunchtime. You know,
keep the energy up.
Absolutely. Some people think that perhaps you should only eat at meal times and not in between. Some people think you should eat every couple of hours. Again, it depends on the individual and what feels best for you. I mean, Buddhist monks, for example, have 1 meal a day that they have to have before midday. So, you know, we've all got different metabolisms. Absolutely. And this is another thing that I'm very passionate about, is that the fact that people must do what feels right for them. There are millions and millions and millions of diet books out there, nutritional books out there. Oh, you must eat like this and you must eat like this. But I think you have to find what is right for you. We live in a world that's very, very busy, and I think particularly mothers oftentimes will beat themselves up for not doing everything right all the time. So you do the best you can.
Absolutely, and that's what we can do in life, isn't it?
That you're in. And organisation is probably the key one. But out of everything that people eat, the one thing that I would say is keeping your water level up. You know, this 2
I'm interested in that, because some say drink, some say don't. So don't drown yourself and overwork the kidneys. So what's a good intake of water?
I would say 2 litres of water. Don't believe the rubbish when they tell you that coffee and tea count as water, because they don't. It's
2 litres is quite a lot of water for someone to drink.
And again, if somebody doesn't drink any water at all, it would be crazy for me to say to them, oh, go away and drink 2 litres of water a day, because they're not going to do it. So I would rather that they said, okay, for a month, I'm going to try and drink a pint of water a day. Brilliant. To go from nothing to a pint a day, fantastic. And then see how much you can up it. What will happen is people will start to feel a change, which will give them the impetus to take
They'll feel the different. They'll feel not so tired.
Exactly,
Start to feel a bit lighter.
You cannot feel full of energy if you're dehydrated.
No, and of course that's an emotional thing, isn't it?
It is.
If you eat to live, you raise every vibration in your body, both physically, emotionally, and mentally, and you think straighter.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about water, especially within Chinese medicine, the emotion that goes with water is fear. Now, if you're dehydrated, then you're going to be fearful.
And we live in a bit of a fear-based culture, don't we?
We do, yes.
So again, a lot of wisdom there. So we are what we eat, and we have a choice to feel a lot better about ourselves in so doing. Yes,
we do.
But you're going to go on and you're going to do some demonstrations with some raw food today.
I am. That's right.
I'm quite interested in a lot of raw food. There's quite it's very good when people have been really ill sometimes, isn't it?
Yes,
it's a great rejuvenate, obviously, because of the life force in it.
That's right.
And when we're down and we've taken lots of drugs and chemicals. Well, I think pure stuff in is
we should eat seasonally as well. So in the winter, we may not want so many raw foods. We may want things that are warming to the body, things that are grown underground. As we go into the spring, as we are now coming up to the equinox, perfect time to clear the body. And then as we go into spring, the lighter foods that grow above ground. So this is when the raw foods really can start to come in.
So we need to follow the cycles, really.
Absolutely, and really
because we're connected to the cosmos, connected to all it. All has its effect on us. So we go with the growing seasons. It's all beautiful.
And to get out in that fresh air.
Wonderful. And
there's vitamin D on the skin.
There's a huge drive. Everyone's having great fun growing vegetables. And that's an emotional sense of achievement, isn't it? And that's part of the whole caboodle, isn't it?
And I want to sort of say a little bit too about getting out in the fresh air and the vitamin D on your skin, because if you are lacking in vitamin D, you will be perhaps suffering from depression. And if you think about now, we're very much in this culture of you've got to slap sunscreen on all the time. Children can't go out if it's too cold, and they can't go out if it's too hot, and all these ridiculous things. But we should allow the sunlight on our skin, because that's what produces vitamin D. That's why we all feel better in the summer. So it is important to get that regular fresh air.
So it's a balanced lifestyle.
It is.
Eat well, live well, act well, get out in the fresh air.
And it's what you do 75% of the time, not what you do 100% of the time. Don't not go out for meals with friends and do those social things because you're so focused on having to be perfect all the time. It is a balanced lifestyle.
A little bit of what you fancy.
Absolutely.
Enjoy life. We're meant to enjoy life and be joyful. And be joyful in preparing our food.
That's right.
I would like to see you, we'll move on and watch you at work and take some notes.
Great.
Okay, thanks, Claire.
Thank you.